meet No Tips on Dating, Christofi, who's built an incredible business across the country. 3 offices, more opening up. Please tell us how you've done it, what you've done.
I will do that. I'll grab the microphone first to start. First of all, thank you very much for having me. John, Rob, Tim, great event as always. I'm just going to tell you, I've been preparing this speech for 20 years, actually since I started in 1999. I recall back to when I got into the property industry. I saw an ad, it said sales professional, 90,000 plus, can you sell, do you have a car, do you have a fax? I said yes, yes, yes. I called up, I spoke to a lady by the name of Robin. I started asking her a few questions and she said to me, how old are you? I said, I'm 19. She said to me, are you too young? I go, please, please, don't hang up the phone, please. She let me come in, let him say no to my face, please let me come in. She goes, okay. Off I went. I went to an interview, there was me and 2 other people. After the interview, the guy said to me, what do you think, Chris? How do you think it'll go? I said, I've got to be honest with you. I live at home with my mum. I don't have different commercial or residential property. But if you give me a go, I'll be your best guy within 3 months. He said, you're on. I started working. Lucky for me, I was good. Sales was always a passion of mine and something I was driven towards. I broke a couple records. I got Rookie of the Year. I sold 84 properties in my first year. And it was an industry that I had just a passion for. I loved helping people. I loved real estate. So I was 19 years of age. I started working. I wanted to know everything I possibly could about that business. Fast forward a few years later, I got to 25 years of age. Extremely, extremely arrogant and cocky. That's not anymore, but I was back then. I had a business deal go wrong, which cost me in the vicinity of $780,000. I had 8 properties at 25, making hundreds of thousands, to losing it all in the space of probably 6 to 12 months. I bought an apartment at De Valencia, put $106,000 deposit. I was unable to settle. I lost that. I found my son. I've got 4 kids. My son, who is 15 years of age now, lost his hearing at that time, so he contracted bacterial meningitis. So it was a tough time for me. I went from doing very well to moving back into my parents' house, my son losing his hearing, to basically in a world of hurt. Now I'm going to ask you all, was it unlucky? Was it bad circumstances? Maybe. That didn't change the fact that I was where I was. Back at home with my mother, people mentioned you got to eat humble pie. I was eating humble pie for breakfast, lunch and dinner, because that's all I had from back then. From going to penthouse to no house, that happened to me in the space of 1 year. So what am I going to do at this point? I knew I could sell, and I knew I loved the industry. Tim, can we click to the next one? One thing that I'm going to try to do in my speech tonight is 3 things today, is inspire you. I want to share with you the challenges that I've had in businesses, some of my successes, and what I do in terms of my personal growth to just keep pushing and going forward. I did have a question before, asked me, Chris, what's your number? What are you doing this for? I said, I don't have a number, but why do I do this for? Is I never want to feel comfortable. I want to keep pushing my abilities and my skills to go to that next level. I love attending these events because it gives me the opportunity to connect to people. I'm meeting actually both gentlemen, Barnsey and Renell, after they're going to come to my office to discuss how they can assist and help me. And I do suggest that to everyone. Connect with 4 or 5 people everywhere you go. Tell them what you do, tell them a bit about yourself, because you never know where that's going to lead. Anyway, that's just something that I wanted to bring up. Next slide please, Tim. Now my story. I briefly mentioned to you my story. I'm not going to bore you too much and tell you exactly the details of where it had. I would like to fast forward to 25 years of age, minus $348,000, living at home with my mum, no cars, no assets, and my son just lost his hearing. I was going through a breakup. I've been engaged 3 times, so that analogy about asking a girl and going to different bars, I've done all of them a few times. I've got 4 kids now, so we finally figured it out. Click to the next slide please, Tim. This is my office. Very proud of this. This was my mother's house. 1-800 number, because I wanted to seem that I was a lot bigger than I was. Me, And I was buying leads at the time. I bought the first batch of 10 leads. I went and converted them. I had a property consultant who was doing the property side, and I had a finance consultant doing the finance side. I converted 3 sales. I waited for my commissions to come in, then I bought 20 leads, then I bought 30 leads. This was a very, very slow process for me. It took me a couple of years to realise this isn't really scalable. What am I going to do? How can I take my business to that next level? My main goal when I was 25 was to get back out of my mother's house, pay off my $348,000 worth of debt, and to get on track. I had a vision. I knew exactly what I wanted to achieve. I worked in the industry since I was 19, so 6 years. I worked with good operators. I worked with not so good operators, but I learned a lot. And what I found early on in my career, the key thing that I had to listen to was my clients, my customer experience. Because if you're going to get anything from what I'm about to say, it's all about your customer experience. That's what will really determine your return on your investment. People talk about return on investment. You should talk about return on experience. It takes 7 times as much to market to a new client as it does to get an existing client to buy something else. I understood that at a young age. So what I was trying to achieve is to create all these different verticals in my business and to have a holistic company, which I'll discuss to you in a moment. Go to the next slide, please, Tim. Raising capital. How am I going to scale my business? I remember putting on a suit, flew up to Brisbane. I met a gentleman who's going to mark 10 years. On the 10th of September 2008 would be 10 years when I spoke to this gentleman. I still have the document, a 2-page document I prepared, which was an agreement, me asking him for $300,000 to scale my business. When I went and had that meeting, I already told him I had a company behind me, which wasn't untrue. As you can see, I had a very big company behind me. I told him I had consultants and I can sell you stock. So before I say this story, can I just get a raise of hand? Is there any developers or builders in the house? There's a few. Good. This story is about raising capital, so I might have to speak to you later. I went and saw a developer. I went to the first meeting I had. I asked him for $300,000. He shook my hand and gave me $150 with the agreement to give me $300. Why would anybody do that? He vetted me before I went. He knew the caliber of person I was. He knew I always deliver what I say, and he backed me. I never knew, obviously, he went to that level. The 2-page document I've kept, and I keep it, and I remind myself of it every day. There's even spelling mistakes on the 2nd page. But he bought me. He bought my vision. He bought my passion. He bought my drive. And as I share my story with you, you're going to see why and how I've continued to keep growing. I told him it's going to take between 2 to 3 months to generate the sales because the leads are going to come in, and that 2 to 3 months I was actually hiring staff, training, and actually building momentum. Everything I said to him, I delivered. My vision was to start to get my property license, to get my finance license, to build my financial planning arm, to build my accounting arm, which fast forward 10 years I've done all that, and I'll explain to you how I did that. So I was able to raise capital and really leverage myself, my abilities, and all the good work I did prior to get my business to where it was. The next slide, Tim. Now, with success comes failures. I failed miserably many times. I had a few business relations that didn't go my way. I probably trusted the wrong people. I never set up the right agreements. One thing that remained constant from the first time I made a mistake which cost me $780,000 to the second mistake I made which cost me $1.4 million to the third mistake which cost me $550,000. I look at all those things and I never set up those deals correctly. One thing that remained constant is I always looked after my team, even though it almost crippled me, and I always looked after my client. My ex-associates, a lot of them aren't in business anymore, but as I said, the main thing that I remained constant is I must look after my clients and I must keep expanding. Go to the next one, Tim. Personal development is something that I've been doing now for 10 years. And something that I recommend everybody do. I've recently hired a coach, which gave me the opportunity to meet and broaden my skills. The biggest thing that I wanted to mention as well, how did I get all these verticals? I had a vision 10 years ago that I needed to have the same company ethos. And when I was hiring an external finance company, and when I was hiring an external property company and property management, it is almost impossible, in my opinion, to find 5, 6 companies that have the same company ethos as you. I found that was very challenging. So step by step, I got a finance company started. I got my full finance license. I got a property company started. I got a full property license. And the reason I acquired those 2 licenses is because I set up Reventon like I was the consumer. So the people giving the advice have the licenses. So a lot of companies set up like mine, the owner won't actually have the license, or won't be the principal licensee, or won't have the finance arm. I've set it up specifically so it's there for the consumer, it's not for me, which obviously made them feel comfortable. My company ethos is very simple: client, 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 client. It's all about the client. Now, without our clients, I don't think anyone's going to be sitting in this room today. That goes for developers, that goes for marketers, that goes for people in finance, it goes for all of us. But a lot of people actually, they're more focused on what they're going to make as opposed to why they're doing what they're doing. For me to be able to do what I do is very, very easy. The passion and drive that I have now at 38 years of age is more than I was at 19. I have people in this room that have worked with me for 5 to 6 years. I have developers that I've sold for. And I've got some people that work with me that are here, and they can attest to this. Being a true leader, and not a boss, because I think there's a key difference between being a leader and a boss. You've got to be the first one in, the last one out. You've got to do what other people don't do. I do insane things because I'm passionate about them. I think the last 2 days, if I'm going to give you an idea, Tony's laughing. I got to the office at 3:15 and I left at 8 p.m. The following day I went from 4 o'clock till 10. I've got 4 kids. On the weekend I don't work. But I love that it's a passion of mine. And if you've got someone behind the brand that genuinely feels that way, do you think that he's going to actually look after his clients and he's going to be successful? Do you think he's going to attract similar people within his business? The way I was able to grow it is I built a good team. I'm only as good as the team around me. I've got 2 guys at the front there. There's a team of 40 us across 3 offices, and our plans are to keep growing. The only way I can do that is to attract the right people. It's taken me 10 years to do that. It's taken me a lot of blood, sweat and tears. They say it takes 10,000 hours to really learn a craft, which is over 5 years if you look at 38-hour weeks. If I based it on my week, I can do it in 1.3 years. Imagine if you got the right people as well, how much quicker you'll learn. The last slide I'm going to leave you with, and the last thing, is about, as I said, personal development. I've had the privilege of meeting and interviewing the likes of Hugh Hilton, which I've got to say was an absolute honour to talk to him about the property industry, what he thinks about the market, and how important it is to hire the right people to do the right things, that understand their market. Here below, that's my coach JT, Mark Wahlberg, Mel Gibson, everybody knows. Steve Wozniak was an absolute inspiration, co-founder of Apple. Gene Simmons, John Travolta, Nita Quebec, and one of my idols who I absolutely love is Mark Boris. I've heard him speak on a number of occasions and I've met him. What an absolute legend. I like everything he stands for. I like the way he talks. Look, I've never worked with him personally, but I've read a lot and seen a lot of what he does, and he's one of the guys I actually idolise and look up to in this industry. I think there's a lot of people that we can learn a lot from, the likes of Mark Boris. What I do want to finish up with, I want to show you a clip of our current corporate ad that we just released now, which I'm very proud of, because when I look at that, and I look at the last 12 years and the last 18 years of everything that's happened, from where we started, my mum's house, 1-800 number, to where I am, if you asked me, would I get to where I was? Without a shadow of a doubt. I knew without every fibre of my being that this is where I'd be. I should have got here probably quicker, but I made a lot of mistakes along the way, but I learned from them. It's through connecting to the right people. It's through understanding exactly what you want to do. And it's through personal growth, it's through personal development. I'm honoured and privileged to be standing up here. The video I'm about to show you is our corporate video, which we did around about 2-3 months ago along with our rebrand. We're a holistic company. We talk to people, we specialise in finding the lead acquisition. We talk to them about how they can buy property. We finance that property. We do the property management. We do the accounting. We do the financial planning, the estate planning, everything A to Z. They come into the office. They meet one team of 5-6 individuals. Our CRMs talk to each other, so we make it convenient for the client, and more importantly, we listen. We have a lot of touch points. If a client buys a property off us in the first year, they'll hear from us between 40 to 50 times. We do 6-month reviews. They get monthly updates. They get monthly newsletters. But our industry is ever changing, and you got to keep innovating and coming up with new ideas. The reason I've asked the gentleman obviously to come to my office is because I want to see, can you assist me? The first thing I ask them is, I want to show you what I can do, tell me how you can help me. Because the dynamic of what the internet's done, I think, to our industry specifically, 20 years ago when I was in sales, it was, what can I sell you? The dynamic is now, how can I help you? That's the difference, because a lot of our consumers are very smart because they're looking at the internet. They're getting all that information. So when you go there, you need to know your stuff inside out. How big is this apartment? What does this come with? Is it a full turnkey product? You need to know all the questions they might ask, you need to know the answers to. And another key point that we do, we sell apartments, houses, townhouses, units, local interstate. We don't sell anything. Our clients buy off us through taking them through a journey. But we make sure that we have all the options by asking the right qualifying questions. Okay? The last thing I'm going to actually put on is our video. I hope you enjoyed. Go on, Tim.
No sound here.
I don't know it off by hand, so I can't tell everything. Is there sound?
Let's talk about...
Let's go again.
Let's talk about a more prosperous tomorrow. A tomorrow where your finances, property investments, property management, accounting, and financial planning are looked after in an exceptional capacity, all under the same roof. A tomorrow that works at your pace, where there's no overt pressure to make investment and financial decisions. A tomorrow where these processes are seamless, where someone is always there to support your financial and investment needs. At Reventon, our company's values are what ensure we remain distinctive to our customers. Integrity, passion, quality, leadership, customer experience. When hiring Reventon, you are hiring a team of professionals to support you in your investment and financial decisions. Whether you have been with us since 2005, or you're looking to purchase your first investment property, your future is Reventon's future. So, let's talk about a more prosperous tomorrow. Today.
Some good looking actors, I reckon. Anyway. Now, thank you very much. Last, as I said, I'm going to leave you with one thought. And that's, if it's all about your team and your company ethos, because that's going to basically determine exactly how you treat your clients. It's about your clients, and that's what we focus on at Reventon. Don't do your best, do whatever it takes. Thank you.